Hello, viewers. Okay, it started up again. I was about to say it happened again. I hit the record button and the music instantly stopped. Welcome back to A House of Many Doors. We are headed back to the City of Keys. We have a lot of information to drop off. We desperately need some cash, but our ship is way better at fighting, and it still kind of seems like there's no reason to actually engage in that. And then we still have a whole lot of concerns, a whole lot of stories that we are working on. So, there's still the Archbishop of Anglecrab thing. I'm gonna level with you. I've forgotten what the next step was in the finding the orchard thing. How do we find the orchard? Do we have to just keep asking about it, or... I mean, we'll keep going everywhere and interacting with everything, and fingers crossed that'll mean it just happens for us, right? Maybe? Alright, so is there anything we want to do before we leave here? We could wander the streets again. They will let us do that. Okay, we see the play again, and then we strike up a conversation and donate, and he's like, the knight's death is a subversion of the narrative, and I'm like, no, the knight's death is a part of the narrative, and I can tell because it was in the story, and that's how you know what the narrative is. Kabam! Passed it. Got him. The knight's death may counter the audience's expectations, you argue, but the narrative itself is not undone. A moment's reflection shows that the death is heavily foreshadowed, and in the grand scheme of the play, as inevitable as the final grain of sand in an hourglass. The spectre of death shakes his head with a smile. He disagrees, but he has enjoyed the conversation. The puppet golem that played the knight clanks past you both, removing the sword from its torso. It sits down and deactivates itself until the next show. The curtains close, and we get a fragment of Epiphany, which I don't think is that a thing we've ever had before? I don't know. We're certainly not going to drink our bottled darkness. Okay, let's get out of here. We should leave and introduce ourselves to our new crew member. So, back up to the City of Keys. No, M is not the button I want. This is the button I want. Hey, Ashen, what's going on? Ask if she knows anything about the City of Glass. Ashen shrugs. I've got better things to do than look for a city that doesn't want to be found. Yeah, okay, fair. You find her in the mess hall flipping through a poetry book from your room. She holds it with an air of mild distaste. Hey, no fair correctly judging my poems. Her boots are up on the table, the book of poetry held loosely in her hands. When her mouth curls, her scars pucker. I used to love this kind of stuff, she says, and now I can't make head or tail of it. She glances at you thoughtfully, her eye a stark moon. You're into this sort of thing, right? Yeah, we could be kind of shitty about it, but no, I'll just say yes. I wonder. She flips through the poetry book again. I knew a man once. He obsessed over poetry. Me and him used to stay up all night, reading passages to each other, talking about how life is beautiful. She snorts. Really? You? Ashen shrugs. It was a long, long time ago, boss. Before your time. Okay, so why bring it up? Because that man needs killing, says Ashen, and he's too cautious for me to get to him. But I bet he'd love to meet a poet. Okay, why do you want him dead? Hold on, before I participate in this. I have a list, says Ashen. 9 names. 9 people who need killing. He's the second. I already took care of the first. Okay, but that's not really an answer to my question. Why is he on the list is really the question I'm asking, right? So who else is on the... Tell me about this list. They didn't wrong me personally, she says. This isn't about revenge. This is justice. Okay, again, not really an answer. In what way is it about justice? I mean, sure, I'll kill him. Sure, I'll kill him, but I want a reward. I never said I wanted you to kill him. I'll take care of that. She pulls from her pocket a disc of silver glass, barely larger than your palm. When you look at your reflection, there's a half-second delay. A fetch mirror, then, though you've never seen one so small. I just need you to get inside and conceal this somewhere, as close to him as possible. Then I can sneak in through the mirror-wise, and... She makes a cutting motion across her throat. Okay, I suppose that's reasonable. Listen, I'm into helping people, right? I'm helping someone. Ashen grins, scars twisting. Cheers, boss. Trust me, he needs to die. She clumps her boots down from the table and stalks back to her room. Okay, well, I guess we'll work on that, then. Did she tell me... Sorry, did she tell me where I was going? Did I miss it? Go to the City of Bridges and infiltrate Fortune Hall. She didn't say that, did she? Alright, an abandoned cottage. Hey, occultist paraphernalia. Never seen that before. Do you guys have anything for sale? You have obscene booklets, which I don't really want. Alright, we do still have some necrosia. Uh-oh. Spectres hang at the edge of your vision. When you try to catch sight of them, they withdraw like morning mist. You are left with the vague impression of a face that you recognized, and sweat pricking beneath your clothes. You must be careful. That's an interesting thing to suddenly happen. Do you think that's just because we're running around at such low sanity, or... I mean, it's hard to know, right? But I suppose there could be a lot of reasons such a thing might occur. We're close-ish, right? I don't think there's a lot of value in swinging through Waker's Respite. Oh, you know what? Our passenger wants to go to the City of Bridges, though. We should do that on the way back. We may as well pick up the news and come back with a little bit more money-making. Oh, interesting. You find Char and Banjo in the mess room, roaring with laughter over a bottle of unidentifiable brown liquid. And then I said to him, I left it up the chimney, sir. And he goes purple and shouts, up the chimney. You left your brush up the chimney. What kind of sweep are you? And I'm nodding and sorrying and tipping my hat and trying to look all innocent. And of course his missus is backing me up, although under the bed covers she's nutty as the day she was born. So he says, that brush is a fire hazard. Go get it. And I'm up the chimney in a flash, of course, and when I jump out the top, I leg it over the rooftops. The two of them burst into fresh laughter. Genius. Did you ever see her again? He smiles shamefacedly. Well, in a manner of speaking. I scoped out the mansion while I was in her bedroom, and a week later I came back and stole all her jewels. Tell you what, Knucker, Char turns to you and grins. You may live to regret hiring this bastard. Well, I mean, hey, it's cool that they're getting along. You know, this is actually a thing that you don't see all that often in, like, games that have a lot of inter-crew narrative. It's almost always you and the other members of the crew. It's very rarely other members of the crew with each other. This is nice. And then Char launches into an exceptionally rude story of her own. Well, cool. We're all forming a mutually strengthening bond. And if I'm being honest, those are my two favorite members of the crew, so... Not that I don't love Tybalt. Obviously I love Tybalt, but... So the intemperate vampires over there. This is the City of Engines. I guess, actually... Okay, hold on, sorry. We're going the wrong way. We should go to the City of Engines. Not because we have anything to do there, but just to pick up the news, and then the City of Bridges, and then head back home. And that'll hopefully give us some time to encounter some wells as well. An abandoned cottage. More paraphernalia. Oh, more apparitions. Having a lot of haunting visions lately. Should I be worried? A dilapidated church. We've got an obsidian statue of a grimacing goddess. Smash it up good. Yeah. I do love a little bit of free sanity. Although I suppose we're going to be heading back to the City of Angels fairly soon. We'll be able to refill our sanity for free. I'm getting all turned around because I'm trying to veer out of the way to hit these extra nodes. We're just north of the city, right? Like this is it? Yeah, okay, good. Let's gather news. Turns out the city, whatever. City does that thing it does. The largest and most well-known hovercog is Smogfeather, a behemoth who smothers the whole streets of the city below in shadow. You're examining wares in one of the Smogfeather tourist traps when a panicked shop assistant grabs your arm. We're descending, says the assistant. We need to evacuate. Outside, it's quickly apparent that the assistant's panic is unwarranted. Smogfeather is falling very slowly indeed onto a specially constructed landing pad. People on the streets outside are chatting to each other merrily and forming orderly queues at the flying machine docks. A half-worked woman joins the queue behind you. One eye is a purple lens, one hand a fist of iron. Well, I doubt they'll get her in the air again, she mutters. Sorry, what? The half-worked woman shifts uncomfortably. Well, you didn't hear it from me, but more and more things have just stopped working recently. The weather engines go wrong more often than they go right, the hover cogs are falling, getting half-worked now is riskier than ever. The laws that make our machinery work are getting weaker, that's what I think. Too many inconsistencies, too many arbitrary rules that we made up as we went along. Anyway, you didn't hear it from me. I mean, that's conjecture that's unsettling for some people. It's not such a big deal to me, really. And then you climb into the waiting ornithopter, which is maybe a bad thing to do, given what we were just told. Its blades turn as normal. Everything's fine. Just don't think about it. Why don't you just not think about it? Alright, well, I don't think we need to advertise for a new crew member. We really just came through here to get the news. Well, we may as well buy a little bit of fuel, just on the just in case, you know? Also, jeez, I really wish that Escape would do the thing that it's obvious for Escape to do here. On second thought, apparently I'm not allowed to save at that menu. Okay, now, leave the city. So, it's probably not worth going out of our way to Fargyle Keep. I mean, we could hunt a vampire while we're out here, I guess. Let's go to the City of Bridges first. So, west twice and then north a couple of times. And then I guess we'll hunt the vampire. Although, I might not have enough fuel. Yeah, this might not be a good time to do that. It's not like we're rarely on this side of town or anything. We come over here a lot. We'll have plenty of opportunities. Alright, free golem. A strange apathy has consumed your crew. It's not that strange. Listen, one thing it is out here in the dark is powerfully boring. Sure, it's scary and terrifying, but scary and boring are definitely not mutually exclusive, and they both wear on you in remarkably similar ways. Alright, here in the City of Bridges, we do have some business to attend to. First of all, let's gather some news. Then, let's knock on the doors of Fortune Hall. G doesn't appear on any of the consortium's public records. He doesn't have an address or a secretary, but Ashen assures you he's here. Longbond Way is the highest and grandest of the bridges, and Fortune Hall takes up half its span. It is a stitched-together monstrosity of a building, a half-mile-long block of gold and marble, of statues and stained glass and fountains and columns, a conglomeration of every single thing that could possibly scream wealth. The road outside is lined by mercenaries. Snipers watch from the towers. You feel the featherlight weight of the fetch mirror sewn into the lining of your coat. Inside, harried suits dash from place to place, spilling paper behind them like footprints. You sent word that you were coming, of course, and a liveried attendant is waiting for you. Well, sure, it would have been rude not to warn them. Come this way. The attendant frisks you and takes your pistol, but doesn't find the mirror. She hands you a complimentary wine. The attendant is clearly something more than a servant. Her muscles strain under her doublet, and the symbol of Gravidon is carved on the back of her neck. Ooh. Dark glasses cover her eyes. I mean, that's gotta hurt, right? The CEO seldom agrees to meet with strangers, she says. But he has always had, a soft spot for poets, and apparently he admires your work in particular. My name is Gilly Bellhart, his personal assistant, advisor, and bodyguard. She does not extend a hand. You walk through endless red-carpeted halls, lined with solemn portraits and tapestries that try to make historic transactions look as exciting as a battle. You lose count of the guards. There's one every 24 feet, Rottweiler faces assessing you coolly. Again, not necessarily a thing to take as poetry. Finally, here we are. Gilly stops at an apparently unimportant section of wall and presses the nose of a bewhiskered man in a portrait. The wall slides aside instantly and silently. The dark hole opens out onto a field of paper-yellow sunflowers. A twinkle-windowed mansion, grand but not grandiose, sits nestled in the center. Stars gleam in the yawning black sky above. Yes, sky, not a ceiling in sight. Let's try to stay focused on the mission here. Gilly's hawk eyes do not lift from you as you approach the mansion. There are sentry towers dotted throughout the sunflowers. A gravel path winds you directly to the mansion's front door. Gilly takes a step forward, breathing heavily. It takes a while to get used to walking under an actual sky, she warns. I always feel as though I am about to fall upwards. Prepare yourself. Okay, a test of guts. I'm a slight disadvantage here. The lack of ceiling unnerves you at first, but after a second your nausea gives way to awe. You walk to the mansion slowly, staring at the majesty above, while Gilly sweats and suppresses a groan. Wow, she really doesn't handle it that well. The door knocker is a bronze model of a human face. Gilly outstretches her hand and the knocker wriggles into life, extending a single fang which sinks into her thumb. It swishes the blood around in its mouth thoughtfully, then spits and says, "Pass." The door swings ponderously open. All right, well, Gilly is visibly sweating. A wave of heat gathers you in its embrace. The lower floor of the mansion is a vast, clamorous kitchen. Red-faced chefs labor over vats of soup, fountains of wine and chocolate, pies the size of boats. G likes to be close to the kitchen. He waits upstairs. Follow me. She's not looking at you. The mirror feels suddenly heavy in your coat. The kitchen is a disorderly chaos of vats, ovens, and cupboards. Now's your chance. Okay, this is not exactly where I would have put it. I would have tried to put it more like in his chambers, but in a cupboard or beneath a vat. If she's got to come out of it, it feels like beneath a vat would be a real bad time for her. Let's go for the cupboard. You slip the mirror into a dark corner and hurry up after Gilly. She doesn't seem to have noticed. As soon as you enter G's office and shut the door, the noise of the kitchen vanishes. It is a cozy little place, mostly without ostentation, apart from 3 enormous self-portraits on the walls. G himself is a preposterously large man, stunted legs that don't quite look able to support his immense bulk. He sits at a crimson table, a stack of gravy-stained plates on his left, a banquet waiting on his right. "Ah, SB, I admire your work," says G. "Boy, if I had a nickel." He dabs at his chins with a handkerchief. "I like to keep track of all the most promising new voices. What made you come and see me?" Okay, it's interesting that this is the only one that has a chance of failure, but, I do sort of want to say this, because, hey, free money, right? And it's a spirit test. I know we're at a disadvantage, but this is kind of like our thing. "I suspected as much," G says. He spears a roasted turkey and begins to tear at its skin with his teeth. "Very well. I will be happy to sponsor your work, provided you write a poem praising the consortium. Not about me, of course. My existence is not to be acknowledged in public." He fishes beneath the table and pulls out a sheaf of greasy papers. "Would you mind," he coughs, Would you mind reading my poems? I'd like to hear what you think." And remarkably, this is not a spirit challenge. So we need to take an advance on this, right? He's not going to be around to pay us otherwise. But sure, I guess first let's read through his poems. They're awful, and no common variety of awful. Marooned by a tree of gold. Oh, dear me, I am so unbearably old. My thoughts are never happy, my eyes are never dry, and in this hell I wander and don't die. When you look up, G is gazing at you unblinkingly. Gilly stands behind him and is making frantic but impenetrable gestures. So, okay, this is possibly just your old buddy SB being deeply ignorant about poetry. But, I'm not saying these are good. I don't think... It doesn't strike me as very good, but is it actually worse than what we write? They don't seem that different, really. So... Your natural assumption is that you should flatter him. And... Gilly making frantic gestures, would you be trying to gesture, "Hey, tell the truth"? But the fact that the thing that I would expect them to expect you to do is to lie to him and say they're good, makes me want to not do that, right? Makes me want to, brace for the swerve here. I'm gonna tell him they're bad. It's right there in the text, I'm just gonna say that exact thing. Because this could be a test, right? G nods, a vein twitching in his forehead. Yes, I suppose that's one perspective. Okay, so not the best move I've ever made. You notice that the fat around his neck is turning magenta. Gilly, escort our guest. See that they are given something for their time. See, like, he could have been testing us. He could have handed us bad poetry on purpose and then, like, looked to see what we would say, and if we lied to him, been like, oh, this is not a deal I want to make with a person. Like, you know, it's not completely insane. I'm defending myself here. Jilly grabs your arm and escorts you roughly out the door, through the sunflower seeds, back into the reassuringly ceilinged hallway of Fortune Hall. Half a dozen guards are waiting to take you outside, but Gilly whispers something in their ear before she sends you on your way. When you're back out on Long Bond Way, the biggest guard grabs your arm. I'm to break all your fingers, apparently, he says jovially as his 5 fellows train their pistols on you. Don't struggle. Struggling won't help. Well, obviously, I'm gonna run. I did not run. You struggle, but the guard's grip is like iron. He clamps a hand around your finger, bends it. There's a like a twig snapping. And suddenly the guard has a knife in his face, and he's screaming, and he's covered in blood, and you're covered in blood, and Ashen is there, and she's also covered in blood, and cackling. The other guards try to react, but fighting Ashen is like fighting a cat that's had knives strapped to its paws and been set on fire. Come on, boss, says Ashen when she's finished. There's not much of the guards left. We should get out of here. So she did let them get my one finger, which I don't really appreciate, but okay, this is a good start. Let's just wander the bridges for a bit, shall we? The consortium relies on mercenaries to guard its trade routes, and competition over a contract is fierce. You're minding your own business on Rosepike Bridge when an honest-to-goodness artillery shell blows the roof off the building behind you. Yep, we've seen this one before. The people are cowering. The Sons of Vermin don't care about collateral damage. We tried to broker a success last time. It didn't work. We're gonna try it again. It didn't work. I'm still maimed. You know, I feel like I get maimed a lot. It's not a big deal, really. Let's drop off our passenger. Take on a new passenger for Ghoul Watch. And then we actually have some money now. I'm going to go ahead and repair our hull. And do we want to sell some information to Basilmoth and then buy some... And then buy some fuel and maybe go vampire hunting? No, I'm not going to worry about it right now. We'll just continue on. So, leave. Save the game before we leave, and then... Are we now headed back to the city, or do we want to... We probably don't need to go to Clayton's Mill. No, I think it's reasonable to just go back to the City of Keys now. So, north 2, and then east a bunch. Right, there's nothing... I guess, you know what? It might be worth visiting Clayton's Mill. Because we could probably play poker again by now. It's been quite a while since we were there. Oh, right, we should talk to Ashen. Tell Ashen where you hid the mirror. You take Ashen through Fortune Hall step by step. She doesn't say a word, but as you talk, she sketches a crude but accurate blueprint. And the fetch mirror, she asks intently. As you tell her what happened, she pulls from her jacket a second mirror and bangs it against the table a few times. A fuzzy, backwards image of the kitchen flickers into view on the mirror's surface. They're linked now, she tells you. I'll keep an eye through this and make sure the other one's not discovered. Now, she grins horribly and rubs her hands together. The next part is the tricky part. And what is the next part? Ashen stares absently at her feet for a little too long. This is hard to explain, she says finally, but I suppose I have to tell you sooner or later. G can't die. Sorry, meaning what? Ashen nods seriously. I told you this would be the trickiest part. G is an immortal. Old age won't touch him. Stab him and he'll laugh. Ashen draws a knife and begins to absent-mindedly carve up the table. That's my table. Please don't do that. All 9 of the names on my list are immortals. That's why I've been sent to kill them. Okay, why are you killing immortals? G and the other immortals committed a crime against the gods thousands of years ago. She coughs into her hands abruptly and violently, and when she draws her palm away, it's sticky and red. But I can't speak of it. Forbidden. They've lived long enough, is what I'm trying to say, and I'm helping death catch up with them. Okay, who sent you? Well, old Lady Death, of course, says Ashen. Come to collect her debts. Her crumple-scarred face is utterly serious. And how did G become an immortal? An ancient transgression, says Ashen. A blister forms on her lip and bursts, dribbling blood down her chin. So yeah, she's really not supposed to talk about this, huh? I'm trying to remember, did Clock Guy tell us what it was that happened that had half of the gods saying, hey, we should forgive the mortals, and the other half saying we should kill them all? Could it be that this was the thing? Alright, how do you expect to kill an immortal? Well, there is a loophole. An immortal can't be killed, but they can choose to die. That's always the catch, right? In the stories, that the immortal man gives up on life, but life won't give up on him, and he ends up wishing for death to come. Yeah, it seems like kind of a lazy catch to me. I'll tell you what, I could do with some immortality, personally. Well, it ain't true. Immortals can choose their own way out, by their own hand. Almost none of them ever do, of course, she adds. But the laws of fate are slippery. If an immortal is holding a sword, and I grab his arm and push it through his neck, does that count as dying by his own hand? Apparently so. Now, G is less likely to be rampaging around with a sword than the last name on my list, though, so we need to twist the rules in a new way. Yeah, like what? I have an ally of sorts in Failbetter Quinn. Ashen pauses, her eyes half focusing on a teapot, but forces herself out of catatonia before it has her fully in its grip. Oh, where was I? Yeah, an ally. He also wants G dead, and he's one of the only people in the house who's worked out the rules of immortality. He can help us. Okay, to Failbetter Quinn we go then. I mean, I'm kinda all in on this. Not because I want to help Ashen, but because fuck this dude. It's okay for him to die. That's what I'm feeling. Alright, so we're just going back to... I mean, we could go back to the City of Angels now. You know what? Let's do that. Let's swing through the City of Angels, and then we'll go to, the City of Keys. Because that way we can reset our sanity now. And we can bring back the news from one more place. I don't think we've been to the City of Angels on this trip. Have we? I don't know. Whatever. Can't hurt to go there again and reset our sanity one more time. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. My memory is pretty bad for all things. But I don't think that the clock guy told us what it was that the gods went to war over. You know, I mean, obviously the thing about forgive the humans or not, but like forgive them for what? And one does wonder what exactly you have to do to become immortal and why it's such a big problem. Alright, let us test of spirit a whole bunch of times until our spirit is full. It's so easy. It's so easy. Wander the streets. Try to grab a book. I got a volume of poetry. This isn't the best outcome you could have hoped for, but you're glad to have rescued a volume of poetry. The game telling you outright, hey, it could even have been better than this. And then there's no reason to buy anything here, right? Aside from maybe a little bit of fuel. And we don't have the ability to pick up news, so I guess we had picked up news already. Okay, well, that being the case, there's nothing else for us to do here. Let's get back to the City of Keys. If we went to the City of Knives, then we certainly went, or the City of Angels, then we certainly also went to the City of Keys. So let's just head right home. We have quite a lot of stuff to turn in. And then once we have turned it all in, we can buy some fuel and try to figure out our next plan. I really just need to encounter more wells. That's a big deal. And then we also need to, we also still need to find a place to buy occult relics, or to, like, find a type of encounter that can reliably reward you with occult relics. Enter the cottage, test of spirit. Turns out we have some room still on the crew. I guess that's done it, though. Because what, we have a couple of quests that require occult relics. Actually, we have several, right? Because we have We also have that thing where we're pursuing the prince's hands, or the prince's eyes, or whatever the parts of that prince are, you know. We need occult relics for that, and then I also have a couple of other things noted on our list over here. This is like really the one biggest bottleneck is the occult relic. Alright, looks like we got in without getting accosted by customs. Let's gather news, as always, and then go and turn in our stories. What is my current assignment? I don't even remember. Well, let's turn in all this stuff. Alright, 100. These are mostly pretty close. Wow, 220 for that. Alright, I don't even remember what our assignment was. We're not ready to do this thing yet. We're still missing one occult relic. And we can wander the streets a bit. The square is thronged with jeering spectators. At the center, a gallows and 3 pale fellows with ropes around their necks. 3 sinners stand before you, enforcers of the hang-not mob. The hangman's reedy voice is barely visible over the... I'm not really doing a reedy voice. Barely audible over the crowd. Guilty of robbery, blackmail, distribution of illegal substances, and multiple counts of murder. May their deaths prove instructional to the rest of their ilk. As the hangman clutches the lever, you notice a woman in the crowd, scarf covering her face, raising a pistol, aiming with care. So she's trying to... Is she trying to stop the hangman, or is she trying to shoot one of these dudes so that it's her kill instead of the hangman's kill? I'm gonna get involved. Your hand closes around cold gunmetal. She gives the weapon up after only a momentary struggle and slips away into the crowd. Behind you, the lever slams into place. The condemned men groan as they die. You are left clutching the pistol, your heroics utterly unnoticed. We gained a thrilling yarn. I mean, it's a pretty brief yarn. The crowd disperse, grumbling. The hang-not mob's prime boast is that they will never allow their members to hang. Most of the crowd came out to see a dramatic rescue, but the gangsters failed to live up to their bluster. I mean, that's what I figured was happening. I kinda hoped it was going to turn out to be more complicated than that, though. Let's check out the black market. I am buying. Nope, nothing here that I want to buy. Sorry, we should have checked selling as well. The color dust we totally need. That bottled darkness is really valuable, but we can't afford to do that. Well, do we want to throw anything in the museum? Old bones, a primordial oddity. Yeah, let's throw one of these in there. Right? Why not? Museum is 49% complete. Has it changed anything? Exhibits are mostly hideous. No, didn't really change anything. Oh well. Let's... I guess we're done here? Oh no, we gotta be able to visit our dwellings, right? Well, first of all, we could write some poems. I have an awful lot of poem stuff. Fragments of Epiphany, 18 apprehensions, look at that. You've written a dramatic verse of a mere 558 lines. The firmament of depravity is vanishing bold, as blurred as your mother, got 'em, and as your lover impure. I am driven to this ballad by cruelty and cold, the mother of cruelty and North war. My poetry is not better than that dude's poetry. No way. I don't think. Again, I kinda can't tell. The dogs of remorse. O lifeless remorse, so impure and halfway. The cruel palace of dismay that knows no fray. This awful palace in a graveyard aglow. This awful mansion in a graveyard echoed. That's sorta, I mean, like, the stressing doesn't really... Okay, it's fine, whatever. Whatever, I don't care. We still don't have a unique experience to work on our magnum opus. Let's have Ashen over. I kinda wanna let Ashen... I kinda wanna get closer with Ashen. I would like it if she liked us, so that she doesn't murder the hell out of me in my sleep. She wipes her filthy boots on the doormat and kicks them off in your hallway. Hello, boss, she says. You offer her a drink or some food, but she just shrugs. Thanks, but nah. She slips into your coziest chair and curls up like a dead spider. Conversation with Ashen is a stop-start affair. Occasionally, she'll offer a grunt of approval, yet just enough to keep the conversation from sputtering out altogether. As the lamps outside go dim and the evening draws to a close, Ashen glances at you guiltily. Hey, boss, thanks for making the effort. Can I stay the night? I don't exactly have anywhere else to go, and this chair's comfier in the street. Well, I mean, listen, if you just need a place to stay, I got rooms. Oh. Her face brightens, then her mouth twists. Nah, I don't want to impose. I should just go. No, I insist you stay. I'm your captain. That's an order. She stares at you. Well, your funeral. Ashen is now a permanent lodger. Her snores shake your house to its foundations. Again, it's good for her to like us. I am a little afraid of her. Also, that's just like the decent thing to do. So, we have a bunch of money now. Oh, you cannot sell information to the governor's man because I tanked our reputation so badly. Okay, well, there's a consequence. I had been talking about not knowing how much it mattered for our reputation to go up or down. There's a reason that we might care. We have so much stuff. All right, hold on. Let's take a moment here. What do we want to do? So we need an oscillating prism for a dream of trees. I feel like we did see an oscillating prism somewhere. Is that the case? Do I have this marked in my log here? Yep, I totally do. Okay, so if we saw an oscillating prism and I didn't buy it, that's on me for not having followed my own notes. The City of Glass is still just, missing. We need occult relics. We need to ambush the priests of Angle Crab, which is, obviously it's gonna make him a little cross with me, probably. Or you could think of it as us just eliminating the competition. Bring occult relics to a thing. God, we need so many. Ah, Caloram. Okay. We can go to Caloram. Take Banjo to Arozim. Hunt down a vampire. Yeah, we're probably going to do that next. And then, of course, there's lots of delving going on. Find a key. We have no idea where to get a key. You would think in the City of Keys would be a good place to start. Travel to the City of Knives with Char and convince the alchemist to let her rejoin them. Okay, we could do that. We're close to the City of Knives. I don't think there's anything that we need to buy here in town aside from just a bunch of fuel. Yeah. We can buy some Mark III Scurriers. Oh, we should have a flare. We should absolutely have a flare on hand at all times. And then here, nothing really of interest. Gosh, occult relics. If only. If only those actually existed. I mean, do I want the Mark III legs? We could afford them, but we'd go broke. Nah, never mind. This is not a thing I was trying to do. Let's, I guess, just leave. I'm not going to bother resting and recovering. Because I think we're gonna end up going through the City of Angels again. Let's go now to the City of Knives, and then we'll go left to the City of Angels. We'll swing through on the way to this stuff, and that'll let us reset our sanity again. I think that's a reasonable plan. It must be a total bummer to be a character who doesn't have the spirit necessary to constantly refill sanity for free. Oh, I didn't actually buy fuel. Well, whatever, it's fine. We'll just buy fuel at the other city. Okay, so there's a guy here. We could take him prisoner. I'm just gonna leave him to his fate. I mean, it doesn't seem great. It's certainly not altruistic, but neither is taking him prisoner, right? Okay. Yeah, and I believe fuel is the same price in all of these this cluster of cities up here, right? So I don't think we're missing out on anything by not having purchased it in the City of Keys. We are going to get a little close here, though. It's definitely important that I not forget to buy fuel again. A test of vigilance, searching for a book. Oh, good, a meandering treatise. Who doesn't love these? Okay, it's just one more up and one more right. Yeah, we're not gonna run out. I think. Definitely a little closer than it should be, though. Alright, to the alchemist's spine with Char. She needs a solid reference from a previous employer. She apparently assumes you'll give her a good one. Yeah, why wouldn't I? Now, the alchemists run this city, says Char. The politicians argue and squabble and die. The spine is where the decisions are made. She gestures up at the spine, the tallest of the mega spikes, stabbing at the ceiling like an accusatory finger. Near the top, smoke of all colors pours from a dozen orifices. A black-yellow sheen of alchemical waste carpets the river below. In the marble-floored reception, the secretary sighs at your approach. Hello, Char. I'm going to have you thrown out if you're not gone in 2 minutes. She nods at a guard standing nearby. Not one of the malfunctioning Golem guard, but a human professional with a rifle over his back. Wait, says Char. I need to speak to Professor Splinton. Please, she'll talk to me. I know she will. Alright, I'm just gonna lean on her a little bit. She doesn't seem ready to budge, but I'm very charming, and also a tiger. Who would say no to a tiger? You look the secretary dead in the eyes and make an impassioned speech on Char's behalf. You tell her about her trials, the things she's done, the things she can achieve if just given the chance. Well, she says, I hope this doesn't cost me my job. Professor Splinton is free at the moment, 11th floor via the elevator. Alright, nice work, Mucker, Char punches your arm. You really did made them words good. Yeah, you should just let me do the talking in here. Professor Splinton looks up, dismayed, as you enter. Hello, Char, she says stiffly, her hand snaking beneath her desk. No, don't press the panic button, says Char. I ain't even done anything yet. Splinton looks you both up and down, then relents and begins shuffling her papers. You do seem somewhat more composed than last time. She's a small, slight woman with a shaved head. One of her ears is missing, no doubt lost in some manner of explosion. Sit down. All right. No doubt you've come to me once again to beg for a second chance, says Splinton. I don't know why you do this to yourself, Char, nor why you keep coming to me specifically. Well, you're my friend. I was. Splinton musters her most professional smile. You have an extensive criminal record. You were thrown out after being forgiven time and time again for offenses that would have had most students expelled. Char squirms in her seat. Well, I'm better now, she says. Her voice is echoing very slightly. That's not great. I gave it all up. SB will vouch for me. We did see her throw her drugs into the darkness. Here's the thing. Dramatic gestures like that are not generally indicative of real change. Not that they can't be, but I don't think you learn anything necessarily from a gesture like that. So I don't feel like we have any idea, basically. Something's wrong. There's the faint smell of singed metal in the air. My guess is that failing the test of insight probably won't matter. Right? This is probably just a thing you can attempt before making the decision. Let's attempt it. Something is badly wrong, but before you can put your finger on what, Char starts to shudder violently, apparently not correct about that. She slams a fist down on Splinton's desk, cracking it. Return me to my rightful place amongst the stars, trickster! She demands, her voice a holy choir. Splinton stares at Char with contempt. Given it up, have you? Char's eyes are two coals sitting cold in her face. I'm calling the guards, says Splinton, pushing a button under her desk. Leave. After you are forcefully escorted outside, Char collapses in the chem-slick gutter, shivering, the darkness in her eyes receding. Just had a tiny bit, she mumbles. Just to give me courage. You can't blame a girl. She is silent as she stumbles back. Well, that didn't exactly go the way we would have liked. Let's pick up the news, wander the streets a bit. When it was built, the new Thorn was the city's largest megaspike. Now it stands lightless and abandoned. Hundreds have vanished nearby, and the citizens whisper that it is cursed. Today, thin poison vapors swirl about your ankles. Most sensible city folk are staying indoors. As you walk past the new Thorn, you hear a mournful wail echoing from inside. Well, again, my love of the occult prevents me from just walking away. We've got to go see. No one lives in the broken-down houses that jostle up against the New Thorn's walls. As you walk closer, you disturb a nest of hissing rats. When you push your way inside the New Thorn, you find the floors sagging with rot and heaped with rubble and discarded clothing. It is curiously warm in here, and the walls drip with slime. Something slithers in the shadows. The mournful wails have silenced, and we will attempt to be cautious instead of just shouting and wandering around in the dark. Uh-oh, cautiousness, not my greatest asset. Something cold and clammy tightens around your ankle. A mud-brown tentacle spooled out from a crack in the floor. You pull away instinctively, but it pulls back. With a sudden jerk, you are thrown to the floor, and a dozen more tendrils uncoil from the walls and ceiling. "What a lovely little morsel," whispers a glutinous voice from above you. Well, I'm more likely to be able to cut myself free, it looks like. Again, this is sort of a tinkery kind of path, right? Instead of just trying to struggle with muscle, which is not really my strong suit. You burst free of the tentacles, covered in ichor and dropping and slipping on coils of guts. A cool breeze from above. When you look up, you see half the ceiling has been gnawed away. Something has hollowed out the megaspike from the inside, and there are things writhing in the shadows above. Who won't accept you? Is that... what? Did I wish I could scroll back up. That is not a thing that happened, right? Nobody said anything to me about not being accepted. I'm gonna say this, despite the fact that it's kind of baffling, because I'm curious what will happen. "The river," it says, its mouth cracking open and issuing a sad stream of drool. "The beautiful scenic. I love her so, but in my new hideous aspect she rejected me, burned me like fire. I was forced to crawl from her embrace." Okay, yeah, so we just picked up the middle of a conversation that we didn't have the beginning of, because the game doesn't... it seems like a bunch of the triggers don't quite work or line up the way they're supposed to. So, you want me to help you woo the scenic? "The Green Lady has a refined palate. She must be wooed with only the finest of wines. I once ate a nobleman who assured me that the 79 vintage angel wine was the very best. And you must lather me with perfumes. I must smell of something other than rotted fish." The knot of flesh pulsates and drips, and issues something like a sigh. "Lastly, most importantly, I need a precious item of unparalleled rarity and beauty, a token of my devotion that she can clutch to her viridescent breast." A dozen eyes surface in the thing's twisted mass and glare at you. "Find me these things, and I shall see you rewarded, morsel." It lets you leave. Its gormless fish eyes don't stop staring until you're out of sight. So, a precious item of unparalleled rarity and beauty. What could that possibly mean? "1 oils and perfumes and 1 undreamt treasure." Well, that's not going to be trivial. I have no idea where to get an undreamt treasure. But mostly I was curious because that tells us what kind of thing we should be looking for if we're going to try to put more beautiful stuff in the museum, right? Alright, so I don't think there's anything else really for us to do here, I suppose. Let's just head back to the City of Angels. One more time, look through the stuff to buy. Obviously, we need to buy some fuel. And then I don't think there's anything else that we're really looking for here. Boy, they don't pay nearly as much for bottled darkness here as they do in the other city. Alright. Let's head out to the City of God Botherers. And then we have lots and lots of other stuff to do south of there. Yeah, we probably ought to have a chat with Char. Let's do it on the other side of this doorway. She is cropped... what am I doing? I know that text. We've all read that text. She knocks on your door. She's doing her best to look contrite. "I'm sorry about what happened at the spine. You deserved better for going out on a limb for me." I feel like the correct thing to say is none of these. Not even kind of. So she has an addiction problem. We need to figure out how to deal with that. If I say it's her fault... I do want her to feel like she has a responsibility to keep her own word. Like, I shouldn't be the one who has to manage this for her. But I feel like it's my fault is so brutal. It's too brutal. It's your fault is hard but fair. It's not your fault is just not correct. She absolutely made the choice, right? We're gonna go here. She shrugs diffidently. I knew the professor'd say no. I knew it. I took the leftover Godsmoke because I knew in the end it wouldn't make a difference. That's why I need you. She looks you dead in the eye. I can't do it on my own. Alright, I'm just gonna wait calmly for her to explain. I need to be a proper alchemist again, she says, feverish, but I've used up my last chance, so I need to impress them, show them what I can do. She leads you to her laboratory bedroom. The walls are covered in pinned notes, and a huge stack of paper swamps her desk. Years ago, when I was still at the Spine, I came close to cracking a totally new formula, something really special. I was, kicked out forever before I perfected it. If I get it right, though, the Spine will have no choice but to take me back. It will revolutionize their entire fucking profession. But the formula ain't the hard bit. I can only manage to get it right if I stay sober, and for that I need your help, mucker. I'm gonna need you to keep me on the up and up. That means no drugs in the cargo, cause you know I'll get a hold of them somehow. Got it? That's a little inconvenient for me, actually. Necrosia's a drug, I assume. Color dust is a drug. We definitely have some color dust. And we have quests that require these things. I'm gonna agree and we'll see what happens, because we should, I feel like we should try to help her with this. Char nods sharply. I won't let you down. This time. She claps you on the shoulder. Because you won't let me, right? Listen, if you could take me to the City of Bridges, that's where my proper lab is. It should have most of the chemicals I need. And then I can make some stuff happen. Alright, sounds pretty straightforward. I'm kind of curious if she'll take the drugs that we have in the cargo right now. Alright, so just west until we hit City of Angels, and we'll probably call it there for the day. It would be super cool if we could find another well on the way there. That aside, I don't know if there's really that much else that we're looking for. Can random buildings even really be meaningful to us at this point? An indecipherable tome, which is, pretty whatever. I mean, if we successfully deciphered it, I know it says that it's indecipherable, but you can't trust that. That's flavor text. If we were to decipher it, who knows what would happen? Maybe it would be something significant. Not even going to bother with the cairn. Doesn't seem like it's ever worthwhile. I guess we have news from the City of Keys. We should be stopping and talking to people. Might be able to get a free map mark. And it would be easy enough to swing back through the City of Keys and renew our news while we're still up here. Just keep looking for, wells and stuff. It is a little bit of a bummer to have to, snake through the room in order to see all the things that are in it. Alright, Test of Spirit. Just get feeling better here. Try to gather news. Hey, we did it. And then, do we have anything else, pressing that we want to do here? I do not want to attempt to decipher our indecipherable tome. Our esoterica is not quite there yet. We're trying, man, but we're not quite there yet. I guess we can wander the streets. Ooh, we got some unsanctioned scripture. You stare at the book in your hand like it's a bomb about to go off. A holy book with a symbol you don't recognize, exalting a god whose name you can barely pronounce. Valuable, certainly, if you can find a willing buyer, but highly illegal in any of the 7 cities. Okay, that seems like a good start. Alright, and then I think that is probably where we're going to let it go for today. That is going to be it for us for right now. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, tomorrow, I don't have any idea. We're going to go hunt a vampire. That's probably going to go terribly. And then who knows what horrors may be visited upon us after that. And we'll see you then.